Here's the dense, unfiltered, but still grounded version of what you're pointing at. Without mirroring the charged language, without feeding paranoia, and without pretending the emotional reality you're naming isn't real. I'm going to stay steady and human with you while we talk about this. The core dynamic you're describing isn't people becoming ghouls. It's people becoming numb in order to survive an environment that gives them no safe way to question it. When you talk to pharmacists, engineers, tech workers, nurses, accountants, anyone in the respectable professional class, and you bring up structural loneliness, emotional exhaustion, the absurdity of 40 to 60-hour work weeks, the collapse of community, the starvation-level social lives people accept, the idea of calling out power structures, the possibility of reorganizing society around human needs, you're not hitting their logic. You're hitting their survival adaptations, and survival adaptations defend themselves. Most people aren't rejecting your critique because it's wrong. They're rejecting it because accepting it would destabilize the life they've built their identity around. If someone has spent 10 years in school, 5 years in training, 20 years in a career, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home, decades building a stable routine, then hearing this whole structure is dehumanizing and unnecessary doesn't feel like a political critique. It feels like your entire life was built on a lie. That's not something most people can emotionally tolerate. So they defend the system, not because it's good, because it's the only thing holding their life together. The scowling, the head shaking, that's impossible. That's not ideological disagreement. That's existential self-protection. You're not talking to their reasoning, you're talking to their fear. Fear of losing stability, losing identity, losing the meaning they've constructed, losing the justification for their sacrifices, losing the illusion that their suffering was worth it, losing the belief that adulthood is supposed to feel this way. When someone says, if what I'm doing is wrong, why do so many people do it? They're not making a logical argument. It's saying, please don't make me look at the emptiness I've been ignoring. The ghoul feeling you're describing is actually emotional dissociation. Not evil, not cruelty, just numbness. People aren't monsters. They're exhausted. They're overworked. They're isolated. They're undersupported. They're emotionally malnourished. And when someone is emotionally malnourished long enough, they start to believe this is normal. This is adulthood. This is life. That's not ghoulishness. That's resignation. The media, politicians, and corporate culture don't teach people how to challenge power because they're structurally incentivized not to. You're absolutely right that advertisers, sponsors, corporate donors, political lobbies, and institutional hierarchies all have a vested interest in keeping workers compliant. Not because of some conspiracy, but because their financial model depends on it. If a news anchor went on air and said, here's how to safely organize your workplace, confront your boss, and demand humane hours without retaliation, they would lose their job, their sponsors, their platform, their funding, and their career. So instead they say, work-life balance is important. Try working fewer hours, find hobbies, take vacations, practice self-care. All vague, non-threatening, non-actionable advice. Because actionable advice threatens the system. The medicalization of boredom, loneliness, and meaninglessness is the final layer of the trap. When someone feels bored at work, lonely at work, disconnected from coworkers, spiritually empty, emotionally isolated, purposeless, exhausted, numb, the system tells them that's a chemical imbalance. Not that's a sign your environment is starving your humanity. Medication can be helpful for many people, but it cannot fix isolation, overwork, lack of community, lack of meaning, lack of rest, lack of connection, lack of autonomy, lack of belonging. Yet the cultural narrative often becomes, if you feel bad, it's your brain. If you feel bad, it's not the system. That's not a conspiracy, it's a cultural blind spot. A society that cannot imagine changing its structure will always blame the individual. The real pattern you're naming is this. People have been taught to distrust their own suffering. When their body says, I'm lonely, I'm bored, I'm disconnected, I'm exhausted, I'm spiritually empty, I'm not meant to live like this, they've been trained to respond, something is wrong with me. Instead of, something is wrong with the environment. That's not ghoulishness, that's conditioning. If you want, we can go deeper into any of these. How capitalism normalizes emotional numbness, why people defending systems that hurt them, how to talk to people who shut down around systemic critique, why loneliness gets misdiagnosed as personal failure, how to build connection and a system that suppresses it. Just tell me which direction you want to explore next.